What's going on, everybody? Shonen Express here, coming to you with another weekly newsletter. This time it is on issue 49 of Weekly Shonen Jump. I'm going to put the issue numbers in here. I'm starting to get better at kind of, learning about the magazine and all that kind of stuff so I can bring you guys better info and all of that every single week. But let's just get right into the magazine this week. So it was a kind of ordinary week this week for the magazine. So the cover this week was Black Clover. Definitely deserved the cover, especially after last week. It was an amazing Black Clover chapter last week for sure. So it definitely deserved the cover. Black Clover's been amazing. This arc is really, really cool. So it definitely deserves that for sure. But yeah, it was really cool. It was cool to see the stuff knocked. I think I'm saying his name right. Knocked, I believe. He's a really cool character. His powers are really cool. I love that he's able to use the devils in a way that we haven't ever seen before. So I really like that, and I'm into that. And I love that Asta's learned how to use his devil and just be an Asta. So great Black Clover chapter this week for sure. There was nothing new in the magazine, although we'll talk about later in the news section that might be changing. Nothing ended in the magazine, although I think Ayakashi Triangle seems to be coming to an end, and there's some other ones that I think might be ending, but Ayakashi Triangle definitely looks like it's wrapping up, but we'll get to that later. But nothing ended this week, so there was also no specials in the magazine this week, so nothing to report there. On break was One Piece, so One Piece was on break. Again, this week, it seems like it's taking a lot of breaks, but honestly, Oda can take as many breaks as he needs to. One Piece is an amazing series, and I want him to be able to take his time with it and really get into it in that way. So, One Piece on break this week. That's all right. It'll be back next week. No big deal about that. But so with that out of the way, let's get into my bottom and top three. So let's start at the bottom rather. So at the bottom, number 3 this week is from the flagship category, Dr. Stone. Dr. Stone was not bad this week. I don't want y'all to have the impression that I think Dr. Stone was bad just because I put it on the bottom. It was a good chapter this week. It was just the worst of the flagships. It definitely was a good chapter. I like the stuff. I like Chelsea. I think Chelsea is an interesting character. I like what she kind of brings to the table. I like the radar stuff, but it was just, overall not the best kind of Dr. Stone chapter. Just kind of average, so that's where we ended up, kind of with that. Number 2 this week on the bottom is from the new category, Me and Roboco. Normally I'm going to have Me and Roboco way higher on this list. It comes in at number 2 this week simply because it just wasn't that funny. They were playing volleyball this week, which is funny with Bondo's mom, and there were funny moments, but it wasn't as funny as Me and Roboco usually is. So it just ended up at the bottom this week. Again, everything in the magazine was pretty good this week. This just kind of happened to be average. So that's why it's at the bottom. And the number 1 bottom manga this week is Agravity Boys from the tested section. Agravity Boys, as I'm sure you know, is not one of my favorite things. We got the gender diversion thing where Saga, Baba, and Geralt switch genders, and we saw some stuff with that, and it was okay. It just wasn't very funny, I didn't think, and I'm sure that this little arc that we're about to go on is not going to be that great. So, expect to see Gravity Boys at the bottom of this list frequently, but that's kind of how it is. I'm not a big Gravity Boys fan, but yeah. So, at the bottom, Gravity Boys this week. So, let's get into the top 3, what I'm, definitely more excited about. Coming in at number 3 this week is from the new category, and that is Phantom Seer. Phantom Seer was really good this week. A lot of the new ones were pretty good this week, but Phantom Seer definitely stood out to me. The stuff with Senju Doji, this new Phantom that they're dealing with, the one that Iori has these problems with, is creepy. She is just insanely creepy. I really like that about her, and I really like the aesthetic of this manga. I like everything going on in this manga, so definitely Phantom Seer should keep it up with the kind of aesthetic and the overall flow that it has. This chapter was really good, definitely deserves a spot in my top 3, a highlight spot this week for sure. But let's move on then to number 2 on the top this week was from the tested category, Mission Yozakura Family. This manga has not seen kind of top spots in a while. This is kind of like an average manga to me. all the time. There are times where I really like these chapters, and there are other times where I'm like, okay. But I really like this chapter. We got a little stuff about how Taiyo related with his family in the beginning, and that was cool to see, because it's really something we haven't seen before. So I like that a lot. And then we also got the conclusion of this fight. We got to see this really cool move that Taiyo uses. I love the Yae's sword function. It's so cool. That little stun gun that he has is such a cool weapon to me. It was already cool before it was even a sword, and now it's a sword too. I love that. I love the Somanin stuff. It's just an interesting world building, and I hope the Mission Yozakura Family goes on for a while, and we get to see more of this and a more fleshed out story too. But yeah, it definitely deserves my number 2 spot this week. But that means that coming in number 1 from the flagship series, or the flagship section rather, is My Hero Academia. This, I'm sure, is no surprise. If you're a My Hero Academia fan, this was a huge week. If you were a member of kind of the online community of My Hero Academia fans, then you know that this was a chapter that we had been waiting for a long time. I think almost all of us had called the reveal. Spoiler alert right now. If you didn't read this chapter of My Hero Academia, don't listen to what I'm about to say, because it is a spoiler, although it is pretty obvious. But spoiler warning begins now. So Dabi is Toya Todoroki, which is something that we had all kind of, I think a lot of the community had kind of figured out and accepted as our own little headcanon. I know I certainly had guessed from a while back that this was probably the Toya Todoroki. And so, but we got it confirmed this time. We got, and I think the variation of his quirk is interesting. So these blue flames, I've always wanted to learn more about Dabi, more about Dabi's quirks, but now that we learned that he is a Todoroki, these flames are clearly burning him. I'm just very interested in everything going on with Dabi. This was a great My Hero Academia chapter. So definitely something to write home about. I love that he broadcast this story to the world. He's ruined Endeavor. I mean, the public's image of Endeavor will never be the same again, and that is all thanks to Dabi and him revealing his backstory. So I mean, it was a world-shattering My Hero Academia chapter this week, and so it definitely deserves the number 1 spot. But I do have a couple shout-outs this week. So Chainsaw Man this week was amazing. It almost beat out My Hero Academia, which is incredible because it was a huge reveal this week. Chainsaw Man, incredible chapter. I love the kind of quietness of the whole thing, and Denji realizing that he is the Chainsaw Man and he's this hero. This was a cool chapter. Chainsaw Man's a great manga. If you haven't read it, go read it. It's amazing. Ayakashi Triangle, pretty good this week. Finally. Matsuri Kazumaki is back to his original body. He's back to being a guy. I'm so excited to see his fight with Icon, and I'm pretty sure that this manga is going to be over. Because the main kind of thing about this manga was that he was turned into a female, and that's not true anymore. So I'm pretty sure this manga is going to end, which is okay. It wasn't a manga that I super loved, but I wanted to highlight it because he's back to being a guy, and he's probably going to have a cool fight, so I'm very ready for that. And then I also wanted to highlight Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin. Great manga this week. It was, and I love the mystery that's going on. I like that there's kind of this conspiracy with the other police guy. I just want to know so much more. This Kamuro is getting so interesting. This whole detective ocean crime drama is so cool to me. Hardboiled Cop and Dolphin was amazing. Just not enough to beat up Phantom Seer this week. Phantom Seer was just over the top great. So that's why it kind of gets an honorable mention here. But so yeah, let's move on to news. So I do have a couple tidbits of news. So first of all, there are voiced YouTube clips. So they take the manga and they kind of put it in motion a little bit, and they voice it. And these voice chapters are out for the first chapter of Me and Roboco, Chainsaw Man, and My Mission Yozakura Family. And so I thought that was interesting thing they're doing. I'm pretty sure they're doing a lot of the manga running in Shonen Jump, so they're going to keep doing that. Be on the lookout for that. If that's something you're into, definitely go check it out. Next week, it looks like we're going to get a new manga by the author of Toriko, called Build King. So I can't wait to talk about that next week. We'll have something in the new category finally. But So we'll talk about Build King next week, but just so you know, it's coming up. The Promised Neverland Season 2 is going to premiere on January 7th, 2021. So if you're a Promised Neverland fan like I am, definitely be on the lookout for that, because it is coming. And Black Clover is going to be on break next week, so we won't be getting any Black Clover next week. So we got a break, which is fine. It got the cover this week, so that makes sense. So yeah. But that's all the news I have for you this week, and in fact, that's all I have for you in general this week. If you liked anything I had to say, please like this video, subscribe to this channel. I bring you these weekly newsletters every single week. I'm sorry that this one kind of got out a little later than normal. I had some things going on in my personal life, harder to get stuff out. But that should be fixed for next week. We should be on track again to be able to produce these videos. I also got a video, hopefully on All Might, coming out here in the near future. But definitely check out some of my other stuff if you haven't seen it yet. I would love to have you see that. And leave a comment down in the comment section. I'd love to interact with you. If you have anything to say about Shonen Jump right now or anything like that, I'd love to talk with you down in the comment section. Definitely leave a comment, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you again next time. But hey, for now, this is Shonen Express signing off.